Hi, this is Muscle for another episode of Two-Lined Music Hut's Entertainment Report podcast. And this week, we have a special guest. I mean, this is a very, very special guest. We're talking about the #1 Caribbean blogger worldwide. She has over 150,000 followers on Facebook, over 20,000 followers on Twitter, almost 20,000 followers on Instagram. This woman right here has single-handedly changed the way how bloggers blog and vloggers vlog. We're talking about Strictly Babbzy.
Level. Oh, I feel like you should have played like Showtime rhythm or something. So I could have just came in and I would have been like, come on, yeah, girl, you will live comfortable. You know what I mean?
What's going on, Babs?
This here, man, what's going on, brother?
I'm great. So, for the record,
yeah,
are you going by Strictly Babbzy or just Babbzy?
I'm actually Babbzy Media.
Babbzy Media.
Right? Because this is like, I'm a blogger, vlogger, kind of entity. So it's just like, because I encompass so many different things, we're just Babbzy Media now. Yeah.
How did you get involved in the business originally? Take us back to day one.
By fluke accident, yo. Yeah. Just, I basically ended up doing a video as a joke there.
Okay.
And then what happened was I got up the next day and it was just like, why does this video have like 2,500 comments on it? Like back then,
at that time,
Facebook then was not like Facebook now.
Totally different.
So it was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then it was like, okay, just did the video and I was like gone on with my life. People are like, what are you blogging about next week? And I'm like, what name blogging?
Yeah.
What name that? You know what I mean? And then it was like, I was like, okay, let me talk about what happened to me this week. And it was like, I did my video and then it was like, I had like, 5,000 friend requests back then.
Okay. Yes.
Like overnight. It was just crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's originally how it started from there.
Yeah, and then like maybe my 4th week blogging, I got contacted by Dynasty Entertainment in New York.
Okay.
They were like, can you come out to do an event to, Ryan Brathwaite just won the gold medal for hurdles for Barbados and we're having an event. Can you come true? And I was like, yeah. And then Soca Sweetness linked me and he was like, I want you to do my appreciation fete. So he is why you might see a sweet spot for him. Sure. And I mean, because Brenton B and Dirty Dez actually showed me how to use the microphone. I didn't even know how to use it. And Brenton B really showed me how to use the microphone.
Big up Brenton B, good people.
Yeah, man. Trust me. Yeah, man.
And what year did you actually get into the business?
So that was the end of 2009.
Yeah.
I didn't start taking it serious though till 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we'd say serious for the past 7 years, basically.
Yes. Yeah. With a few retirements here and there.
When you say why the retirements? Is it something? Was it the reaction of the people? Was it you personally? What was the retirements about?
Well, the first retirement came when I went on a episode in Barbados called Festival Stage.
Okay.
And I was basically set up to go on this interview to be derailed. And I didn't know that. So as this, naive person walking into this interview, I got set up and sabotaged.
Okay.
And that was one of the first times that I dealt with somebody who just manipulated the public and lied on me. Yeah. And then I couldn't sway the Barbadian public back to understand what it was. So I was just like, yo, I got to roll out. Mm-hmm. That's my time. My 15 seconds of fame is up. I'm out. It's over.
All right, back to normal life. Yeah,
man, it's cool. That's it. So then one of my peoples came to me and he was just like, why haven't I seen a video from you? And the longest time was going on. I'm like, oh, I'm done blogging. And he's like, what? He's the same person that actually put me on the whole business path of things, right?
To understand it from a business point of view, just from the views and those type of stuff, that's cool. Yeah. But the back end is a totally different story. Yeah,
he enlightened me to a lot of things. So that's when I came back. That's how I expanded because Bajans were done with me. Yeah. So then that's how I started to get the Guyanese, Trinis, and Jamaicans because I couldn't talk about Bajan stuff, right? So... yeah.
That's so crazy. And then right now, I know that Barbados has a special place in your heart right now.
Yeah. They actually support me like 1,010%. Like it's no joke out here. They defend me down to the end of time.
Trust me, I know. I see what's going on.
They don't play. They will come for you.
Where was the turnaround where they weren't dealing with you, and then you actually brought them back into the fold?
I think just because I am just going to be honest,
Yeah.
and I'm the kind of person that's just, I don't play this ethnic divide thing.
Yep.
So, they were mad when Myri went to Barbados and was violated by the police officers. And
Yes, I remember that.
Right. And I stood up for her, and Bajans were even more mad because they're like, you're siding with a Jamaican over a Bajan. And I'm like, no, I'm siding with the truth. Right?
And that's all it is.
And then it was just like, then there were instances where I've had to stand up for Barbados, and people just started to realize, you know what, Babbzy's not biased.
Yeah.
She's not going to just come and say Rihanna's the best because she's Bajan, like she's going to just be honest. And that's when Bajans really start to come back over.
Yeah.
And after the election, when I said, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you vote for these people, they voted for these people, and this is what's happening. So now they're like, okay, we need to listen to her just a little bit.
You're the truth speaker.
Yeah, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to be honest. Yeah.
So you'd say one of your strongest places is Barbados.
Yeah.
Where would you say the other of your strength comes from in the Caribbean right now?
Right now, Caribbean strength, Trinidad,
For sure.
primarily, Guyana, neck and neck.
Okay.
Oh, don't play.
Big up GT.
Play. Guyana, like they actually consider me a Guyanese blogger.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they protect me at all costs. So, top 3 is, Trinidad, Jamaica, Guyana.
Yeah.
Right? Top world is UK.
UK?
Yeah, they don't play.
Okay.
Yeah, they have me.
I've been
down.
on your live, and I've seen that you said, okay, you're going to be coming on, I think it was 6 o'clock on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I've seen so many comments from the UK say, but what about us?
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's too
right.
early in the day.
Right.
I said, could you break it into 2 segments? It's like, wow.
And that's what I struggle with, because there's other bloggers where all of their fan base is in America, right? So it's like they just struggle with the 3-hour time zone differences, whatever. I have a worldwide following, so I have a lot of people in Australia.
Okay.
A lot of people in New Zealand. There are a lot of people in Italy and Romania that follow me.
Wow.
And they are very present.
Yeah.
So they want to be on the live. So I can't just do lives just like that now, because it's literally, I have to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the live.
Well, I guess the good thing with it's not even really live is where you get to record it and put it back out later.
Right.
But it's not the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We like to interact.
Correct.
And see and talk.
Correct.
And be part of the conversation.
Correct.
So I guess you'll figure it out. That's part of being the world's number one.
Correct.
Is what you have to deal with.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
it's a pull and struggle.
So what do you think you're going to do to fix that situation here? Do you think you'll go 2 different times, do one, and hopefully find a solution in the middle? Or what do you think you could do to resolve that?
Well, what we're doing is we're giving random segments. Okay. So, I have the juicy segment now that we came up with, which is 9 o'clock Thursdays. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Dear Babbzy and Babbzy After Dark. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of, sexual undertones to the After Dark component. Yep. It has to kind of be at nighttime. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like when people are asleep, because it's like a lot of questions that I get asked, right? You know what I mean? Exactly. And your kids are running around and I don't want that. So, we're trying to reintroduce 2 other segments that are going to be afternoon and evening, so that people can all get a chance to be on
everybody
one
would
of
get it. So even if you don't get all the segments, you'll get something that's geared towards you.
Right. I mean? And I find that even like for my IG Juicy segment, we download that and put that on Facebook and for YouTube, and these are getting a lot of views on both of those platforms as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many segments do you have right now?
So right now, the main segment is Dear Babbzy, Babbzy After Dark. So that's 1. Now I have the juicy segment. That's 2. Okay. And then I had the live at 5, which is 3. Yeah. And then I have, my written blogs that I still do. Okay. And then I have my, I'm introducing a new channel called All a We Technology. Yeah. So it's basically looking at, technology from a non-tech standpoint.
Fair enough.
Because I struggle when I would watch reviews and they'd be like, this and this megahertz, and I'm like, what is a megahertz? What like, I know if I slip on the ice, that megahertz. Like, what are you talking about? What's a, like, what's a gigabyte? Like, what are you talking, like, how much gigs do I need? as a regular
normal
person. I don't know. So
Yeah.
now I'm kind of doing these reviews and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? And now that voice has
Yeah.
become so important, it's like, can Rihanna use Google Home?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the Bajan accent, can Usain Bolt use, Amazon Echo? Like, how are we going to use this?
How are we going to fix this?
It's
right
more
here?
of a segment to kind of show, yes, the Caribbean has 40 million people living there.
Yeah.
Worldwide, internationally, like 200 million people.
So crazy.
So it's like, are we going to be able to use your technology? We going to see.
Yeah.
So I have that segment coming out. I have Beauty Basics with Babbzy, which is where people get to ask me about my hair, my skincare,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. And then I have the reality segment,
Yeah.
which is Babbzy and Kevzy TV. And then I have my main channel, which is the Rants channel.
You're the greatest. You see why I told you guys that this is what I'm excited to do right here, to interview her. Because I seen it from, day zero.
Yeah, zero.
From before it even came around.
Right.
I know you from, we're talking about like Stone, Love Clash,
Right.
and Jaro, and those type of
Right,
stuff.
right.
Until now, it's like you are the go-to person.
Yeah.
If you want to know about anything Caribbean,
Yeah.
speak to this woman
Yeah.
right here. We're talking to Strictly Babbzy, Babbzy Media right now, if you're just tuning in.
Correct. Where was you all this time? Why you tuning in now?
Hey, don't listen. Listen, we're nice over on this side here. I know on your side, you guys are a little bit more rough.
Yeah, I know.
But my client over here, my customers, my
Sorry,
listeners,
people. Happy
they're a little
New
bit
Year.
more. Yes, all that good
Right.
stuff. Now that you being the world's #1 blogger for anything Caribbean, you're the best person right now. You're going to be the first person I'm going to ask this question.
Okay.
I seen that you had posted something about when Beanie Man had an issue with Spice, calling herself the queen of dancehall.
Right.
Okay. Right now, Spice is the first Caribbean outside of Rihanna, because Rihanna doesn't.
Right. I understand what you
She
mean.
doesn't do soca reggae.
Yeah.
First Caribbean artist.
Right.
To hit 1 million followers.
Right.
Do you still believe that she's coming up to be the queen, or she is the queen?
I believe, and I understand where Beanie Man was coming from. She is the queen elect, as he said.
Okay.
But the competition isn't stiff, right? In Lady Saw's time, she's going up against, Sister Nat, like not like Lady G, like all those women who were.
It was
out
a different
there.
race at that
and
time.
it was tougher.
Yeah.
And these women had lyrics. They had bars. They
Of
was
course.
out here. They wasn't joking. Patra,
Yeah.
like if you look at Stings, they had segments.
Of course.
And those segments weren't soft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these women were holding their own.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Spice right now is doing a great job.
Okay.
I think she's good.
Yeah.
I would like to see a little bit more versatility within her
Okay.
catalog, because I know she can actually sing.
Yeah.
And I would like to see a little bit more diversity and versatility in her catalog.
This is where I'm going to challenge you now. Where me personally, I think Spice is the queen of dancehall.
Right.
Because her biggest competition was Lady Saw. When
Right.
Lady Saw was the queen, it was always Spice was right behind her, right behind her.
Right.
And what Spice did for this generation right now that uses social media, she turned it up on all the guys. Everybody now has to look to Spice.
Right.
That right there makes me believe in my heart of hearts, Spice is the queen of dance.
But I believe even amongst the men, there's been a drastic slip. So the standard is lower overall, right? It's like, if you're playing, in a basketball era when, you were playing against Jordan, you know what I mean? It's a very
Pippen
different,
and all these, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, it's a tougher game. And that's the thing with artists. Like, so I would look at a guy like Terror Fabulous and be like, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And people would be like, why? And I'd be like, because he managed to survive in Bounty and Buju era.
Yeah.
That is tough.
Yeah.
And you were still out there doing it. Like, you know what I mean? If you are, Anthony B, you still managed to bust in Sizzla era. Like, you know what I mean? And that's how I look at artists. And this era, I don't look at anybody coming out like, oh, wow, you managed to bust during this era, because it's like, who's the competition, really and truly?
No, from that point of view, I get it. But what she has done, she's turned up her profile. And she's done something for dancehall that a lot of the other male counterparts could not do.
Which is
get the numbers. We're in a strictly numbers game right now.
Yeah, but no, that's where in the Caribbean we have to be careful.
What?
Numbers don't really mean anything if it doesn't translate. Like Vibes Cartel has numbers, but he's not selling albums. Alkaline has numbers, he's not selling albums. You have 1 million people on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's see 1 million sales on your album.
But
then
but remember, the trick with now, it's not about, if this was 10, 15 years ago, I got you. It's about streaming, download. It's about live performance. It's about now, I have these million people.
Right.
How can I monetize or move these million people to do what I need them to do?
And that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah.
When you sell your album, are you going to get 1 million downloads and sales?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because you have 1 million followers and you sell 5 albums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So right now, being where everything is a numbers game, what do you think those 1 million followers are going to really translate to right now?
Well, it's not a numbers game.
Yeah.
Most organizations are not looking at your numbers just like that.
Yeah.
That's why people get caught up, because a lot of time people will buy followers.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
These people are looking at engagement.
That's okay. You jumped the gun. I get that.
Yeah.
Engagement is really where it's at. And
Right.
even she understands that, because now I see that she answers and interacts with her fans.
Right.
So then you see her engagement has definitely gone up.
Right.
I see a lot of people with 1 million followers, but they're only getting 500 likes on a picture.
Right.
Something's wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I believe that if she leverages her numbers right, she could definitely do something not for only dancehall, but for the Caribbean overall.
Agreed.
Imagine Spice and Marshall decided to date.
Right.
You know what that would do for the industry overall?
Agreed.
It would change the dynamics, the sounds, the look, everything about Caribbean music.
Right.
Do you think anything like that would ever happen, where a top tier artist from, like, say, Trinidad or somewhere would be involved with a top tier artist from Jamaica, Barbados, or somewhere else? You ever see that happening?
No.
Why not?
The backlash would be too great.
The backlash from who?
I know that if a Jamaican man went out and got a Trinidadian woman, the Jamaican women would be very offended by that. And vice versa.
Does that really, on the grander scheme of things right now, does that really even matter right now?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It just depends on the type of person that you are and the type of industry that you're in.
Yeah.
So if Spice and Machel dated, that would hurt Spice more than Machel.
You think so?
Yeah.
Reason being?
Because Jamaicans would be highly offended that she dated a Trini. Like that would upset them. There's a lot of divide still within the islands.
Okay.
And that would upset Jamaican followers a lot.
So you're saying right now there is no real such thing as a one Caribbean right now?
No, there's not.
It doesn't exist?
No, it doesn't.
Because my next question to you would be this. Okay, you've seen the hip-hop change. Cardi B is dating Offset.
Right.
Offset's from Atlanta.
Right.
Cardi B's from the Bronx.
Right.
At one time, that was unheard of.
Correct.
New York had a song. Atlanta had a song. Everywhere else had their own type of song. Right now, hip-hop has one sound.
Right.
This is how hip-hop sounds. Do you think we'll ever get to a place where Caribbean, whether it's dancehall or soca, has one sound, where you have a rhythm where it's not a crossover rhythm, it's just a normal rhythm where Marshall's on it, Vibes Cartel, Lil Rick is on it, whoever's hot in St. Lucia's on it, whoever's hot in Dominica's on it, and you put it all on one. Do you think you'll ever see anything like that?
We've had that.
Yeah.
You know, we've had Big Fat Fish, right? And then we've had Girl in a Boring now. Like we've had rhythms where there's been, you know, a Bajan on it, a Trini on it, you know, a Lucian on it, a Jamaican on it. Mm-hmm. That will occur, but like the romantic part of it, that would be a big fight.
That would be, I want to see somebody do it, because that would change the game. Because right now, I think it's a lot of the older heads that's stuck in that I'm this and you're that. Because right now, if you look around, everybody, especially from a Canadian or North American standpoint, you finally find people that's pure anything. My mom is from Jamaica, my dad is from the Philippines. And that's what it is. So I think right now, the vanguards are the so-called vanguards are missing the big picture right now. There is no you and then me. There's only us.
Right.
But as long as they keep treating it that way, we're not going to really get further than we should.
I think it's the reverse. I think the older people were more open to the differences.
Okay.
Like for me growing up, I was never, being Bajan never came up in the dancehall conversation.
Yeah.
But that's the number one criticism I get on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
People were like, you're not Jamaican. Do not talk about dancehall.
But if dancehall was only left for Jamaicans, there wouldn't be no real dancehall. Because it's a world music.
They don't get that, and they don't care about that.
Yeah.
So part of my rebrand is I've had to drop dancehall from my platform.
Okay.
Because it's gotten that bad that it's just like, I can't keep going on like this.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Because if Bob Marley was only for people from Kingston, Bob Marley would not be who he is today. It was not Jamaica that brought Bob Marley to the forefront. It was the world that brought him back to Jamaica.
But it's the people that are in Jamaica and a few Jamaicans outside of Jamaica that feel strongly about you having an opinion about dancehall.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have an opinion about it.
It doesn't make sense. But the first thing you want to do when you're an artist, entertainer, whatever the fact is, you want a passport.
Yeah.
You don't want a passport to fly from Kingston to Montego Bay. You want a passport to fly out of Jamaica.
And I don't think people get that.
Yeah.
They don't see that part of it. They just see a person with an accent talking about their stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like it's funny. Wyclef was on stage recently.
Yeah.
And, Winfred asked him this question, it's so funny that you're into Jamaican music. And Wyclef's like, hold on, reggae is not Jamaican music.
Yeah.
I grew up in Haiti.
Yeah.
Bob Marley was playing. And it was like, even Winfred doesn't get because he lives in Jamaica. So it's like in 1988, when I'm walking to school with Carnell, and he's like, in Jamaica, there's a party, Peeny Pon You, right? Yeah. And he has to find a way to get this tape out of his house so I can dub it, right? And get it back before his dad realizes it's gone. Peeny Pon You represented unity.
Of course.
And it wasn't, this is Jamaican music that I'm taking up. It was, this is another sound in our music.
From a one Caribbean standpoint.
And it's always been that way for me. So now I'm so confused when I'm like, why are all of the hatred comments on my channel about being Bajan or being a female? Like, this is terrible.
But I bet you the funny thing with it, if you ever dig deep into the comments, half of those people making the comments are probably not Jamaican either.
It could be. Probably.
Hey.
And
it's just they have this love for this thing. They figure if you don't speak this way or you're not from here, don't criticize. You could love it,
Yeah.
But you can't say anything bad about it.
Right. And that's even how I felt about, the Sound Clash fraternity on Facebook.
Okay.
When I saw that group, I was like, oh, wow, there are people who talk about sound because I want to talk about bass, Odyssey. And I want to talk about Poison, Dart. You know what I mean? Like, these are the conversations I want to have. But when I started to go in the chat and I'm seeing people making fun of Kingpin because he's Bajan, and I'm like, I didn't really think this is the kind of conversation I don't want to talk about this.
We were just here. I thought we were here for the music.
Exactly.
To be entertained and have an opinion that you will either like or dislike.
Right.
And it's not about where I'm from. Who cares where I'm from?
Yeah. So I just don't even comment in that fraternity because it's not a fraternity. It's like, wow, it's like an abusive, like cyberbullying segment. Like if you want to be cyberbullied, go in there. That forum.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Because a lot of people right now, they're typing behind the screen where they know they're not going to see you face to face.
Right.
So most times these people in these groups, if you see them live, they don't act that
Of course
way
not.
at all.
I'm 6 foot in real life. You're not going to say anything to me. Like, I'm black belted. Like, you're not saying anything to me in real life.
Yeah.
No.
And that's what it is. That's where you get the cyberbullying. Because you're behind the screen, so I could say anything. Who cares? Probably get lost in the comment. I'll never meet this person, so I'm going to say anything I want.
Right.
And that's the real problem.
Exactly.
These people behind the screen.
Yeah.
So you touched on a topic I wanted to ask you too. You being a woman
Right.
in a mostly male-dominated business,
Right.
have you felt it been a plus or a minus, a pro or a con for you? And if it worked in this situation, why didn't it work in this situation?
It's funny you ask that because people say I'm transgendered.
Yeah.
That's the number one comment I get all the time, right? I was born a man, right? And it's like, if I was born a man,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I stay a man to be in this industry? My life would be so much easier to be a dude.
It would
Why
work.
would I pretend? Why would I become a woman to then go back in a dude
Yeah.
dominated industry? For me, I don't have a gender anymore to the industry people.
Okay.
So in the beginning, they'd be like, there's this girl that blogs, right? Now they're like, oh, you need to link Babbzy.
Yeah.
So it's not like she or like her. It's like, I'm just Babbzy now.
You're the connect to get the job done.
Yeah, and it's because there's been many times when people will test my ability and they will think they're right. And I'm like, no, Tanner Saw died in 1988 in August. I'm telling you because I didn't eat for 4 weeks when I heard he died. Like, I'm telling you, Nitty Gritty died in 91 because I called in sick to school for two, like, I was there. Don't tell me.
You know what you're talking about.
My gender has nothing to do with the history, right? So now people are like, no. Babbzy knew our thing still. Like, I remember, I'll tell you a joke. I was in Jamaica one time. Harry Toddler was there. A whole bunch of people were there.
Okay.
We were at this karaoke bar and they were playing music. And the two men then were arguing about who was playing. And they're like, who's this singing? And they're like, no, Carlene Davis. And they're like, no, man. I mean, I think so. I was like, it's June Lodge.
Yeah.
So then they were like, looking at me. They're like, oh, wait, this gal I go about June. Yo, what? And then I'm like, trust me, it's June Lodge.
Yeah.
So then they're like, how much money I want bet? I'm like, how much you willing to lose?
Exactly.
Like, I hope your children got fed for the week because I'm going to take your money. You know what I mean? And it was like, they were like, DJ, oh, that's sing. And then they're like, JC Lodge. I'm like, June Lodge.
June Lodge.
So then it was like, whoa. So they're like, okay, play somebody next now. And then they play the next song. And I'm like, Eric Donaldson.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa. And they're like, no, man, a jukebox this. And, you know, so it's like, I've had to literally prove myself.
And I guess being a woman in a male-dominated area, that's what works for you, is because you know your stuff.
Yeah.
You're not coming in asking, oh, maybe. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that right there trumps being a female. So, okay, you know what? Now I'm a peer opposed to a male or female. I'm one of your peers.
Yeah.
You know you need something, it's me you come and talk to.
Yeah, but it's been a con. Being a female is definitely, you know, a con.
Yeah.
You do not want to be a female in this industry. And it's a bigger con if you're a female who's been promiscuous in their past life because that will not work. You can't go and talk to these guys and try to enlighten them on something and you were promiscuous before. They're not going for that.
You were just dealing with their brethren. I just see you in my brethren's car.
You're in the back of my brethren's car and you're trying to talk to me, dog. Like, because these people will look for any reason to tear you down.
Yeah. And you find that's a real problem there.
Oh, yeah.
Even to this day, you still find that it's still males or that way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They will look for something to disrespect you on.
Yeah.
Anything. And if you've had a promiscuous past, they will drag that out.
That's the first
thing. They will go there first. Yeah.
I can't believe it. I thought it was just a one unity.
No.
Let's get this business done.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't care, man, woman, child. If you're the best person for the job,
no, they're
I'm
not like
talking
that.
to you.
They're not like that.
Yeah.
No.
And you found that mostly in which island that you've been to?
Jamaicans are the strongest with this gender role thing. Bajans have been very, lenient in the beginning. Like they were just like, oh yeah, well we know Babbzy, right? Mm-hmm. Trinidadians the same, but in these places you've seen a lot of women, who've been out there from before.
Of course.
Even as comedians, as all types of, different roles. So it's like, but in for whatever reason in Jamaica, it's like you're a woman. You can't talk about dancehall. You're not allowed to. No.
So you think it's a two strikes you have, which is being a woman and not being from Jamaica.
Correct.
That's the real biggest problem.
Correct.
So if you were a Jamaican woman, you'd have just had half the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been through a lot easier.
Yeah.
I would have gotten through, you know what I mean? Like, there's other vloggers that I see out here who kind of do something similar to me.
Yeah.
And it's like they've gotten through a lot more quickly because they're Jamaican.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, yeah. So it's like, she's pretty, light-skinned, Jamaican, let her go. I'm black. You know what I mean? I'm Bajan-ish. You know, I like, no, it's been a tough one, believe me.
But the fact that you persevered and you are number one, that clearly has to speak volumes.
Correct.
Because if you have to fight with this all the time, you could have given up the first year.
Of course.
And said, this isn't for me. I thought it was nice at first. Here's my 15 minutes. Let me go home.
But, you know, even funny, it's like certain things that I've done, like emceeing events. Like you cannot get me to MC an event anymore. Because the first times when I would MC the events, I'd be like, yeah, I want to be the dance. I want to hold the microphone and I want to be like, right. And I want to do all these things. Now I'm like, I am absolutely under no circumstance MC. You cannot know.
I did that. I didn't know. Because I know originally, if you guys don't know, I know her as a sound woman.
Right.
A DJ. That's how I know you.
Most people, don't know that, right? So it's like I'm just some chick off the street coming in and whatever.
Not at all.
When I'm like, yo, I went to West Hill with Ricky Turbo and Andrew and Specs. Like, I know Jammin before he was Jammin. You know what I mean? I know Dice Lock before he was Dice Lock. Like, people think like, what? Because it's just like they don't see that. And it's like now, even when you see sound clashes, they'll be like, whoa, there was a lot of women at the sound clash the other night. And it was just like, women listen to sound clash.
Of course. Women, it's an aggressive sport. And women like aggressive sports like football or basketball, anything that's competitive.
But anything that has people who are charismatic. Like I got into sound clash because of Squingy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When I start to see videotapes of him and how he used to act, I'm like, who's this?
Yeah.
The same way that I might not follow football inside out, but I used to see Randy Moss or Deion Sanders jam in the end zone. And I'm like, okay, they're playing Sunday. I want to see them. You know what I mean? So I or like Odell Beckham, I'm going to follow these kinds of things because these guys are charismatic.
And that's what you like. That's what draws you to the sport.
Yeah.
What was one of your first sound clashes that you've heard that actually said, you know what? I like this.
Actually, it was a live sound clash and it was a play sound clash. It was Red Flame, Berry Culture, and King Turbo.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, I was like, what are these guys doing? I didn't understand, right? And then I was like, this is neat though. I kind of like this. And then when I went to grade 9, I remember Mega Roach from Brimstone. He played our grade 9 dance. And then he came out with Lodge. So he was like, Fime Jana Giant Lodge, Giant Giant Church. And I was like, what kind of music is this?
Yeah.
Because that was a defining moment for me.
Okay.
Because I was like, you know, not to disrespect artists before Bounty, but I was like, you know, Don to the key and turn him in a donkey. That's not really lyrics, you know what I mean? But when I start to hear like, don't perplex me, flex and make me, like, I'm like, whoa,
that wordplay right there, got your attention,
right? And I'm like, this is deep stuff. Like, who is this that's singing? And it was like, oh, it's Bounce Killer, and then it was just like, yo, I started to get more drawn in, and then Sizzla came about because I heard Mountains Around Jerusalem, and I was like, whoa. What is he singing about?
We almost all turned Rasta because Sizzla was just that amazing at that point.
And it was just like, what is, like, I need, and the thing is, I grew up on Peter Tosh and these guys, Dennis Brown and these guys, you know, but Sizzla just changed the game, and it was like, these guys kept just drawing me in more and more and more and more and more into reggae and dancehall. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, Richie Spice brought me back into the whole culture movement. And it was so funny because it was like Egyptian and him, you know, Natural Black, you know, they all came in on that wave, right? And it was like, these guys are good. These dudes are singing, you know. Drop Leaf revolutionized reggae again, you know?
Yes,
so it was
Drop
like,
Leaf,
boom.
Hard Time Seasons.
Yeah, man.
When that era was around, it was crazy.
We need another one of those eras like now.
And I remember that just creeped up out of nowhere.
Exactly.
And then it just went back out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Because that's when culture was running the place.
Exactly.
Wayne, Richie Spice, Chuck Fender, Sizzla, Boscom X. Anybody that was cultural, that time.
Norris, man, I loved him.
Wow.
Yeah, like Norris
Whatever
man
happened
was,
to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like what happened to these guys?
Yeah, well, Norris man and Sizzla, you know? Don't do that, bro. Don't do that. Don't do that, bro. Big mistake, artist. Don't take on the Don.
So you see, that's how you know your history.
Right.
Because look
right.
how quick I brought that up to you, because I forgot about it.
Right.
But as soon as you said it, I remember seeing that video right now. It's in
Right,
my mind.
right.
I remember seeing it.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So it's amazing how your mind works.
Right.
And how you absorb the music.
Correct.
All right. Since we're talking about music, let me ask you another question about soca. Right now, dancehall, it's a lot of swearing and slackness, the Vibes Cartels, the Movados, the Alkalines and stuff like that. Do you think soca would ever come to a part where that's what's happening in soca? Because it's happening in soca, but in a real subtle way right now. The split in the middles and all of those stuff.
Well, split in the middles in these songs are double entendres, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these songs that make it big, that sound slack, didn't start off necessarily to be slack, right? Yeah. So that's the difference, where in dancehall, the song is meant to be slack. That's a slack song. Mm-hmm. Where in soca, it's like, no. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So there's a song right now banned in Trinidad, you like Rowley's Mother's Count, right? Right? So the lyrics in the song, he's talking about the vegetables that Rowley's mother counts. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what he's singing about, but it's a double entendre, right? Yeah. So that's where soca will always still get away with things, because it's not being direct.
So why don't you think it will be direct? Because right now, at one point, to bus in soca, you had to go through competition and all those stuff there. But who proved to you that that's no longer the way? Was somebody like Bungie Garland.
Right.
That you don't need to compete. And with the internet now being the middle person,
right?
Why wouldn't I just put out a soca song, all slackness, all swearing, do like Vibes Cartel, but just in my native language where I'm from,
right?
And put it out and it would bust?
Because there's still gatekeepers for soca. And there's no gatekeeper for dancehall, right? So there's gatekeepers for soca. And what people don't understand is like there's this soca mafia kind of a thing that's happening. Okay. So what will happen is internationally, these DJs, whether it's DJ Steven, you know what I mean, whoever, they all go to Trinidad Carnival. Okay. And then they all get their music through Trinidad Carnival, right? Yeah. Now, they may not necessarily be at Crop Over. Yeah. They may not necessarily be at Spice Mass. Yeah. They may not necessarily be at Mash Romani. Yeah. So what happens now is they will get the songs that Trinidad has deemed allowable to pass, right? Now, there's been this kind of a backdoor route where a lot of guys are getting through and sliding through, but internationally still, because the international DJs are Trini, a lot of the bigger ones, right? DJ Private Ryan, these guys, no matter what, they still govern the music. So if you put out a slack song from, Venezuela, if these international guys don't pick up on it, it is going to be a very difficult make through. And if you do get through the back door, they will allow that one song to get through.
And that's it.
So that's it. So that's like how Bashment Soca is, right? From Barbados. That's how Jab Jab music is from Grenada. Mm-hmm. They'll allow 3 to 5 songs in these genres to make it. That's it.
But you see, as you're saying about the mafia and the gatekeepers, really and truly, the only gatekeeper there is right now is the internet.
Correct.
If I put a song out right now, we recorded it in this room here, and I put it out, I have some connections to some radio stations or wherever. Outside of these guys, I have no clue who Private Ryan and these guys are.
Right.
And the internet loves it. Right. And people are buzzing, and on Spotify, everywhere, this is what's playing. You know what? These gatekeepers are going to have no choice but to play.
But they will take that one.
Yeah.
You can't start funneling in 7, 8, 10 to these. They will not take them. They'll be like,
all it takes is one. But it takes is there is going to be this conversation we're having right now.
Right.
I guarantee you 110%.
Right.
There is a Vibes Cartel of soca somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere,
Yeah.
Bubbling up, ready to unleash on the world.
Right.
With the slackness and he's no longer hiding it. Right. Because soca, calypso has always been quote unquote slack, but they knew how to tell a story to cover it up.
Correct.
There's going to be somebody there.
There has been. Swappy was deemed the Vibes Cartel of soca, right? Because he came out with Gal Say.
Yeah.
And, it died, right? So another person might come with it, and another person might be able to push that. But it's a tough sell, man.
It's gonna. I'm not saying I want to see it happen.
No, I know.
But I know it's going to happen, because how did we get from Dennis Brown and Bob Marley to Vybz Kartel?
Right.
How did we get here?
But those are two different genres, right?
Yeah.
It's the same way how you have calypso and you have soca, you have reggae and you have dancehall, right? And then dancehall never broke off into different genres of dancehall, where soca did.
Yeah.
So soca is what, from the 90s,
Yeah.
right? Then you have raga soca, groovy soca, bashment soca, bouillon soca.
Yeah.
So this is what's going to now be the gatekeeping of it, because they'll say we will allow 3 bouillon soca songs to make it.
Yeah.
So the slackness, if it's in bouillon, 3 of them will pass.
As long as they just open the door and 3 of them pass, there's another 9, 10, 12 of them back there waiting to come in.
And next
if
year,
you don't let me
3,
in, if you don't let me in, we're going to force our way through somewhere else, and we're going to get in that way. What if a guy, the big dog right now is Private Ryan.
Right.
Okay. What if there's a DJ somewhere, some corner, somehow doing something? He says, okay, you know what? All of you guys come with me. We're pushing your music this way. We're still playing the regular stuff, but I'm now the one pushing it. And you know what? He's become a big sensation in Trinidad. So now Barbados wants to see him.
Hold on, though.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Now, here's what happens in soca
that
people don't see.
Okay.
Bad mind is very rampant.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Private Ryan is like this. We're just using his name loosely for the sake.
No,
I just want to I like
Big
him.
up Private Ryan.
Big up Private Ryan.
Yeah, for sure.
But if Private Ryan finds out there's a dude in Barbados with a movement, Private Ryan will come to Barbados and stomp on him deliberately.
Yeah.
This is what these guys will do.
But again, it's because even you're forward thinking like myself. I know really and truly those guys have no control or no say over anything.
Right.
Over nothing,
Right.
It's the internet is the only thing that controls everything, right?
Correct.
But it's a facade where we respect everybody.
Right.
So we're going to give them the respect. But really and truly, all it takes is one renegade to start it.
Right.
And then the rest of the renegade pops up, and it's a different ballgame.
No, but then what it is people don't want to visually look disloyal either. So when Private Ryan throws his big affair, people are going to be there because they have to be there. So when Small Joe tries to throw his event, Private Ryan will stomp on it deliberately.
Okay. He'll take it. Oh, you have your 3, 4, 5,000 people. Leave me with my 100 people.
Right.
Because my 100 people today is going to be 200 people tomorrow.
But people don't have that dedication.
Yeah.
That's not a very, very common trait.
Yeah.
And me being a blogger for 8 years, I've seen bloggers come, fly out the gate, and they're gone now. Do you know what I mean? Because when it becomes work, when it becomes hard, when it becomes tough, they will just bail out and be like, nah, forget it.
So you today on the podcast are saying that you don't think no time soon that there's going to be somebody that's like, as I said, a Vybz Kartel, swearing, slackness, and all this coming for soca, and that's going to actually get somewhere, and that's who he is.
I believe one song could make it, but him, like long term, no.
Where he's bleaching and he's into the madness with the tattoos and all of those stuff there.
No,
you don't see it happening.
No.
Me personally, because of how everything is changing so rapidly, this person, all they need is an Instagram. They do a couple of skits. They have a Snapchat with a follow it, and it's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
You know
but
you
see, man's not hot.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things are really hard to come by.
For sure.
That dude was grinding way before that
That
segment.
was like a 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 10-year grind before you got this one.
Right.
15 seconds of fame.
But that's what people don't understand. So even when you look at artistry, like Alkaline, orchestrating the tattoo eyeballs and all this stuff. This all has to do a lot with timing, Cartel going to jail.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Where when you look at a guy like Dexter Daps, right? He is the typical artist story.
Yeah.
Out here 9, 10 years, and then you find this song. But when you find the song, you've been seasoned so long that you can perform at Sting.
So,
you can perform at Sumfest.
People,
because he's been out here forever. But then when you bring these other guys who got hits on the first, second try,
they were lucky.
You can't connect with them on stage, and that's the difference, right? It's like you can get a one hit, one slide, one whatever, but to keep hitting a 3-point shot, now you just going with the group of guys that can play ball. You're still not Hall of Fame. You're still not MVP. You're still you still have a ways to go. And that's what artists don't get.
That's what I find missing right now is a lot of artists with big songs. Right. They can't perform the song. Of course. That's the real problem right now.
So when you see Rebel Salute and Elephant Man has to shut down. Elephant Man has had a hit song, name his last hit song. Wow. Do you know what I mean? But he has to shut. Beanie Man has to headline. These guys have to headline because they don't have replacement artists for these guys.
I don't see any of them coming anytime soon either.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
But who I did see improve a lot was people like Popcorn.
Right.
He came along. Alkaline is coming along right now too.
Yeah.
Mavado is my artist, but when it comes to a stage of Mavado, he's very sometime-ish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very
I just saw him in Barbados for Hennessy Artistry.
Yeah.
He was ill.
Okay.
But he didn't do a bad job. You know what I mean? I felt like he did a very, very good job. The problem with Mavado is that for him to sing with a live band, a lot of his rhythms don't sound the same live. So that's the struggle. Where Barris is a reggae artist, his beats and rhythms are going to sound the exact same live. You know what I mean? And I actually saw this as a big struggle this year for Sumfest. Sumfest 2017, right? Mad Cabra performed. And I was so excited. I was like, Cabra! You know what I mean? And it was just like, Tech Him on the Cherry Baby rhythm. As soon as Tech Him came in, I'm like, Cherry Baby, Tech Him.
You know what it is.
When he came in with the on Playground rhythm and Pet and Pamper, I was kind of like, what rhythm is this?
It doesn't sound
because it doesn't convert in the live music world, right? So that's why Chronics, Jesse Royal, these guys will always still be ahead because their music sounds the same live. Where a dance hall beat doesn't sound the same live with a live band.
Because a lot of they've made it on a computer or something.
So that's the problem.
Now when you have to play the drums and the guitar and all this, it doesn't have that same
that's
energy
the problem.
that it had in the first
So that's
place.
the problem with a guy like Mavado. It's like, you're still trying to figure out what beat it is. So then he has to sing the song for you to pick it up.
And then you get into
and you're like, oh, okay. And then he changes to the next song, right? And that's the thing.
Big up Gully God. As I said,
I love Mavado.
Of course. 100,
Yo, my mom,
100.
Mavado is my mom's artist. Like, she'd be like, they're on the gully side.
And the funny thing with it, I remember you told me this from a long time ago.
Man. That's my mom. Yo, she loves Mavado. She loves Octane, Conscience, and Mavado.
Definitely. Since you're bringing up Conscience, because I know Conscience seems to be one of the artists that embraced you from almost the jump.
Right.
Tell me how you guys met and how that all blossomed.
Well, Conscience bust me. In dancehall and reggae. He might not even... Conscience! Yo, you're getting free promo, on Conscience. Boy, you better put me on payroll, But what happened was when I first went to Reggae on the Hill in Barbados... I was trying to get artists to come on video with me. No artist would come on video. They're like, I've never heard of you in my life. Who's Babbzy? I know about Babbzy Grange. You know what I mean? Like, nobody would do a video with me.
Especially at that time.
Oh, yeah. Back then.
Where video was not a...
You know who? So then Conscience and Dario came and did a video drop for me. And... because of that one video drop, I was able to get media accreditation for Sting, for like all these other, Grooving in the Park and all these events around the world because they were like, have you done a reggae show before? Yeah. Do you know, show me what you've done. And I had Conscience to show. Right. And people were like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. So then I got media accreditation for every single event that I've ever gone to because of Conscience. And he doesn't probably even know that. So that's why I rep for him hard.
Of course, as soon as your show comes on, that's the theme song right there.
You know what I mean? And it's funny because I link him, I'm like, yo, Conscience, and he's like, boom, boom, boom. Like, he is my artist, and I don't care if he doesn't like me. I don't care if the day ever comes and he's like, yo, Babbzy talk some stupidness on the blog. Because he busts me, I will always hold him down, no matter what. You know what I mean?
That I do.
So that's how I met him. He's the first person to actually do a video drop for me. And he acted like he knew me, and it was like, yeah, Babbzy, in the video. And I'm like, giving this, I'm like, yeah, Sting, I know artists. Look, I know Conscience. Watch ya. You know what I mean? Yeah, Sumfest, I know artists. Watch ya, Conscience. They're like, oh, yeah. And it's like, no place gave me a problem after that.
And that's where everything That was unlocked for you at that time.
Yeah. Conscience really opened that one drop.
Yeah.
Opened the doors for me everywhere.
Yeah.
So I will always rate Conscience. I don't care what he say about me.
Yeah.
I'll always have his back. I'll tell you that.
100%.
Yeah. But he's not like that anyways to say nothing about me. Me and him live good, man. We live good. Yeah.
That's what I respect, because I definitely see that. As I said, that's your theme song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that works for you guys. You guys have a great working relationship.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to you now. When it comes to blogging, vlogging, Instagram, Facebook, and all, how have you seen it change from when you first started to where it is right now?
Well, it's funny. Let's talk about. Okay, I'll break it down into segments.
For sure.
So when we started, you could just take up your Logitech camera, slap it on a webcam on a crappy computer Ace or whatever, and you could just do a video. You cannot do that now. Right now, if you're not on DSLR levels, like if you're not holding a like, you know, Canon 80D, Sony A6500, you're not going nowhere. Like your video not going nowhere. Where back then, you know, the quality of your footage was not as important as it is now.
They just wanted to know that you had footage.
Right. Yeah. So back then, so, you know, you could go anywhere and, you know, literally you could just do, you know, anything and people would just absorb it. Right. Now it's harder for people to stand out because there's so much noise. Right. Back then it was like, it was me. So when I used to go to an event, it was just me. There was not a lot of other people at the event with me. Now it's like a lot of other buzz. But because I've been here for so long, I don't have competition. But how I've seen things change is it went from a business before to a mockery now.
I thought it might have been the opposite way. I thought it might have just been leisure, and then now it's a business.
No, it's the major hypes, the Prince Marnies. These are one in a millions.
Yeah.
The rest of these guys are really nuisances.
Yeah.
So they're not getting paid. They're not doing anything. Yeah. They're just distractions in the industry. Vlogging now, there are so many nuisance vloggers. Okay. And I mean, like, you know, Dr. Love and L.A. Lewis and, you know, even Cargo and these guys, they're just nuisances in the industry, which makes it hard now for anybody who wants to come and do something legitimate. It's going to be really hard for them to get out.
That's what you find.
Where 5 years ago, they could have picked up a camera and gotten out easily. And now it's like... You're competing against people who are jumping off towers, and you know what I'm saying? Like the publicity stunt crap is at an all-time high.
People eating Tide Pods and those madness.
You're going up against nonsense. Yeah.
And I figured it would be a much more business right now, especially because what I consider you right now, a name that they give you is an influencer.
Right.
Where you could make this group of people do something.
Correct.
And that word was not around before.
Correct.
We did not know what that was. Who was an influencer? What do they do? We don't know what that is.
Well, an influencer back in the day would have been a Halle Berry, would have been a Cindy Crawford, would have been, you know, a Naomi Campbell. Those are the influencers, right? Yeah. So when you saw Naomi Campbell with an outfit, you were like, oh yeah, I want that. Now it's like Babbzy's hair is shining and bouncing. What hair is that? Yeah. So that's why, right? Because now Babbzy's within reach. Mm-hmm. You know, I just saw a woman in the lobby when I came in here. Mm-hmm. She started screaming and freaking out when she saw me. And she was just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And she's like, my mother's from Grenada. Yeah. And she started going on, and it was just like, you know.
That's just me.
And it was just like, you're so pretty and and it's like, I'm the Naomi Campbells to them now, right?
Because the new TV is the phone.
So now it's like I'm within reach now, right? You're never going to see Naomi Campbell walking in Milner. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But for me now, so that's where it is. And then it's like when I tell the stories, I sound like them. Yeah. You don't know Naomi Campbell's past. Yeah. You don't know Tyra Banks' past. You don't know Halle Berry's past, right?
It's a different game. They were on a pedestal because they were actors.
Right.
They were on TV. Right. There was no cell phone and stuff like that. But now I find that the quote-unquote celebrities are now trying to catch back up to you guys.
Correct.
That's what's happening.
Correct.
And the first one to really open up my eyes to this influencer thing, as weird as it sounds, is Kim Kardashian.
Right.
Because really and truly, everybody asks for years upon years, what's her talent?
Yeah.
What's her skill? What does she do? do?
Exactly.
What do you do?
Exactly.
But they have the most following and all those stuff there. And that's the realm that you're in. But you're not just taking pictures and posting ads. That's not
Right,
you.
right.
You're an influencer that puts out content also.
Right.
You vlog, you blog, you interact with your fans. You do all of these stuff there.
Well, I'm a content creator, and there's a lot of people that call themselves that, and they're not.
Yeah.
You're not a content creator if you review the latest mascara from Maybelline. Right. That's not creating content.
You're a reviewer.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the 10 artists that died in their prime or just before their prime, right? That's creating content. That content doesn't exist, right? So when I'm talking about, Alton Ellis, Alton Black, these kinds of artists, right?
Alton Black,
like you know what I mean? When I'm talking about, Dirtsman who was killed, and so that's content creation. There's people now, like I have a very large DJ following, because I'm like 10 artists that sang dancehall or reggae that are not Jamaican, and then I have 10 artists.
I remember watching that.
Right,
one
and then
also.
I have 10 artists that sang soca that are Jamaican, and people were like, "Oh my God, I didn't know," and I didn't know.
The funny thing with it, I watched both of those.
Right.
So I understand where you're coming from, and that is where you had to go do research and know what you're talking about.
And people are like, Ravon is Bajan?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's where I learned that. I didn't know that before that. Before that, I had no idea.
People didn't know that Marlon Asher, Ganja Farmer, is a Trinidadian artist that sang it. They know the song, they love it, but they didn't know the man who sang it is from Trinidad, right? So that's kind of what I've always wanted to do. I wanted people to know, like, the Arrow has the most selling song, Hot of all time. He's from Montserrat. Like, know that. You never have to visit Montserrat a day in your life. But this man is like, this is what he did. Do you know what I mean? This is what Kevin Little did. This is what Rupee did.
That they all put a piece of it to make it into this big thing that we know right now.
Correct.
All right.
So it's important too, because a lot of the times, small island soca artists especially don't get the credit, in the history of the music. I had a blowout with another vlogger over this one time because he was just like, well, we don't know any artists that are not Trinidadian. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
You might not know that they
Thank you.
But there's a lot of them.
So it's offensive to me if you don't consider the mighty Gabby left, right government boots in like top 10 Calypsonian of all time. Like, it's offensive if you don't recognize Winston Soso, Beckett Porsa from St. Vincent. It's disrespectful to not acknowledge Gillo from St. Lucia. You know what I mean? You can't not acknowledge Burning Flames from Antigua.
For sure.
Like, you cannot leave these people out of soca music. These people held this industry up. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And on the flip side, even with dancehall, like, there are Trinidadian selectors that bought these songs as soon as they came out. Like, I told Beanie Man, you owe me money for the Chronic because I starved for 2 weeks to buy that album. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't tell me Bajans have no right to talk about dancehall.
Not at all, because it's a worldwide music. Look at David Radigan.
Thank you.
For example, he's regarded as probably the best solo person to ever do it.
Correct.
And he has nothing to do with no island, period.
Thank you.
So it's not like, okay, so you're from Barbados, so you can't talk about Jamaica. You're from Trinidad, so you can't talk about Antigua. This man has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
And he's regarded as one of the biggest to ever do it.
And it's not because he's white. It is because he's talented and he's did his
good at
thing
what he does.
That's my issue. There's going to be white people that come into this thing that do exceptionally well. There were white people that sang soca, Spice and Company. You know what I mean? The Merry Men, Denise Plummer. There are white people in soca. Right now, I will sing a soca song for you. All are we in a festival.
Of course.
It's a white men that produced that beat.
What?
The Red Boys. Like, there are white people in soca music. Don't do that. Do not do that.
I think we're shorting ourselves by just trying to hold it to our chest, say, oh, this is mine.
Right.
You can't tell me anything. If you don't say anything good good about it.
Right.
Don't say anything about it, period, because this is ours.
But people need to understand, it's like your child. Your child can't read. You need to know that. You need to understand that your child has behavioral issues when they're 5.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be shocked when they blow up a stadium when they're 20.
Yeah.
You would know, like, and it's if you ignore these things, the people critiquing dancehall, critiquing reggae are offering guidance and advice. Like, I saw something so disrespectful happen recently, which is part of the reason what that made me decide to drop dancehall from my platform.
Yeah.
Wyclef went on stage, and I saw people talking about you're Haitian, you can't come in Jamaica and direct nobody. And I'm like, this is the dude that found Beyonce, bro.
Straight.
What are you talking about? Wyclef can't help dancehall. What do you mean? And it's like this attitude, and it's like, this is who you want helping you.
Because he gets it. He understands it. He sees it from afar. Beyonce, Lauryn Hill, the list goes on. It's just music. Remember, music is somewhere where you could come into a room like this, start beating on a drum and say, okay, and then this is the vibe that you come up with. It has no, I don't have to be from here or there. Look at the biggest hip-hop artist for almost 10 years. Came from Canada, Drake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you Americans now, they would say, oh, you can't tell us about hip-hop.
Exactly.
But the biggest artist for almost the past 10 years is Drake.
Correct.
So clearly there's,
But that's what I'm saying. And it's like, it's just offensive because like King Bubba, he's a producer. He's Bajan, but his family is Lebanese. Like he's not black. He is a Syrian Lebanese, like that type of a mix. And it's like, you can't tell me that, Monster Whiner isn't do you know what I'm saying?
He has hits. He has those hits.
He's like, come on. You know what I'm saying?
He
and
has
it's like,
hits.
Now he branched over with Kurt Riley in Jamaica. Bubbling rhythm. Visa rhythm. Come on. King Bubba and Kurt Riley. Like, you can't talk about his race. Don't do that. Don't disrespect the art.
We're just dealing with music because remember, when you take this music out of wherever and carry it to Japan, you carry it to Italy and all these places, these people cannot speak one word of English.
Correct.
And they're jumping up. They're enjoying it 100%.
The same way Open Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
How many billions of views did that song get?
And we have
what is he saying?
Idea what that guy say.
All right.
Zip, zero, zero. It's music. So I think once the gatekeepers get that, it's music.
Correct.
If you're good, you're good. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Right.
Once you're good, you are good.
Correct. And that's one of my grievances with Sting.
Yeah.
I wanted Sting to start letting the Peter Rams and the Bungie Garlands step into Sting now. Ninja Man is the best. Let Bungie Garland slap him up and see who's really because Garland is the lyricist.
Come on, you don't have to tell me that twice.
Do you know what I mean?
Anybody could look up a freestyle right now of Bungie.
Yeah.
And you'll see that's the man when it comes to freestyle.
Even when they did, Shaggy and Friends, he was on the segment with Wyclef, and Wyclef just sat there looking at him. And then Wyclef did a segment when he's like, "This woman here, Fayan," he's like, she gave me Lauryn Hill back in the day vibes. Yeah. I have to work with her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And keep it moving
from there.
All right, let's play a quick game.
Okay.
Before I get you out of here.
All right.
This is called Rapid Facts.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
All right, so we're going to go through them quickly because I know you have other engagements. You actually have your show coming on tonight. Which show is that?
It's the Juicy segment with Babbzy.
And where could they find it?
It's on Instagram on my Strictly Babbzy page.
Okay.
So StrictlyBabbzy.
Definitely.
So 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. We just bring on a surprise guest that the fans vote for.
Yep.
And then we just have a conversation with them.
All right. So then let's rapid fire through this right here. What's the wallpaper on your phone right now?
Me and Kevin.
You and Kevin. All right. What's the last thing you Googled?
The last thing I Googled was this address here.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I was surprised that you didn't call me and ask me, okay, what's the address? That's how I know you're thinking. You said I'm downstairs. Okay, I'll come.
Yeah.
Okay. Aki and Saltfish or Callaloo and Saltfish?
Callaloo and Saltfish.
Okay. Stone Love or Bass Odyssey?
Bass Odyssey, come on. Yo, Bass Odyssey? Squingy broke his arm leg and was still on the mic? Like, no, come on. There's no one that still love doing that.
All right. Who's the last person you called or text?
Last person I called or text, Natalie.
Okay. When was your last awkward moment and what was it?
My last awkward moment. I was talking bad about somebody, a dude, and the girl was dating him. And I was like, well, you know, boy.
Yeah, since we mentioned that, not a problem.
Yeah.
Where was the last place you went on vacation?
The last place I went on vacation, actual vacation, Grenada.
Okay. What would be your hobby if you weren't blogging?
My hobby, if I was not blogging, I think would be trying to learn to DJ on this Serato kind of stuff.
Fair enough. Soca or calypso?
Calypso.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Okay. What song are you playing in your car right now? When you turn your car off, what was the last song playing in your car?
The last song playing in my car was Crop Over's a Blessing, Not a Curse by Lil Rick.
All right. Favorite food?
Favorite food is green banana and mackerel.
All right. Good choice.
Yeah.
All right. One word you use too much?
Too much, I would say. Perhaps.
Perhaps. That's one of your favorite words.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Definitely.
Not like night owl, road dog in the night.
Well,
like
you don't have to tell me.
Yo, road morning person? No, like night though.
Yeah.
From you see sun go down, I'm out. Like
That's
road.
It. All right. Instagram or Facebook, and why?
Facebook, because I feel like it's a little bit more intimate on Facebook.
Okay.
And part of my success has been always with the interaction with the fans at like that level. Like I can identify my fans on the road when I see them.
That's amazing there. And that's the end of the rapid facts.
Yeah.
You've answered everything like it was nothing. Like you didn't even have to really think about it. You know what I mean? So give them some of your handles for social media so they could find you.
So all my social media outlets are strictly Babbzy.
Okay.
STRICTLY BABBZY. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, even Tumblr, Pinterest.
Okay.
And the only outlet that's different is Facebook, which is called Babbzy at Large.
Okay.
So I have a blue celebrity verified check mark beside my name.
Okay.
So you can always find me when you go in there.
Good. What's in the future for Babbzy? What could we be looking out for in the next 12 to 18 months?
12 to 18 months. Well, I have a project going on right now where we're doing some work for Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. So we're going to be doing a lot of that Caribbean content that's going to be now going to those types of outlets. This year, I'm focusing a little bit more on me, trying to get, some syndicated shows on television. Okay. So that's the direction that we're going right now. Just easing off the humanitarian part of things a bit and focusing a little bit more on business this year. So that's where I am right now.
All right. Is there anybody in the industry that you haven't worked with that you definitely want to work with?
Industry that I definitely would want to work with?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. I really wish that I could work very closely with Bounty Killer.
Okay.
I feel like if we worked together, because I get him,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like rough. You know what I mean? Like he's the green banana with the green skin still on it still. Like, the inside of the banana is good, but you have to still boil it and skin it. Like
to get it down to the center.
And I feel like if I worked with him, he would be huge again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I know what he needs to do and I understand what he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind working with Beanie, but I love Bounty and I really feel like if we work closely together, where I could just be like, Rodney, today, just be like, here is what you are allowed to say today. You know what I'm saying?
I can't front. His interviews are the craziest.
Yeah.
Whenever he does an interview, it always goes viral.
Yeah. I just think there's some business things he needs to tweak.
For sure.
And if I could just talk to him on that level.
Yeah.
Like, Rodney, like I saw Mataron recently.
Okay.
And I pulled him aside and I'm like, yo, here is what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to start reviewing Technique 1200s and talking about these things because this is the knowledge you have. We want your sound man knowledge, Mataron. We don't want your relationship advice. We want your sound man. This is where you could market yourself. And he just looked at me with this look like, and I'm like, bro, real talk, you could do this.
But that's what a lot of people aren't understanding, what they could leverage nowadays. With your numbers and your influence you have,
man.
There is so much you could leverage.
Yeah, man.
That's why it's a few people get it.
Yeah, man.
And you're definitely one of the chosen
Yeah,
few
man.
that get it.
Yeah, man.
Babs.
Yeah, man.
Babs.
Boom.
It's been amazing.
Yes, brother.
Amazing.
Yes, brother.
I called her one time.
Yeah,
all
man.
right? And she was ready to go. It was just, we're both busy.
Yeah,
so we couldn't really
scheduling.
connect. It was never how many followers or how many listeners or where are you going to be placing it or what are you going to be doing? None of that. She said, you ready to go? I said, come.
Because
let's go.
people don't understand how life works. Like, it's like this interview right now might have 3 viewers up
That's
until 2025.
Yep.
When something happens and 2 million people watch this, and I get all these opportunities because of this one interview that
And you
I had
understand
3
it.
viewers for 10 years.
You understand it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand with content building.
Yeah.
You just got to keep stacking that content
Yep.
until one takes off and everything else
Yep.
below it matters.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yo, marijuana upon the corner
Yeah.
from Richie Spice, bust him. While Grooving My Girl was sitting down there
Of
waiting.
course, waited.
You know what I mean? So
waited.
people don't see that. People don't
Yeah.
realize they have to all take it back and remix and master it because it was
crazy.
like boom, you know? So people don't get it. Like you come out now and stuff you did 5-10 years ago. Tiffany Haddish, another
Yeah.
one of them.
Look.
People just pulling back in old stuff now, you know? So just keep grinding and hustling, man. You might get 2-3 views today.
I
and
get
2
that.
million views next year,
I get
man.
that. I tell people right now, I'm not looking at numbers right now.
Yeah, man.
I'm not concerned with how many people looked or didn't look.
You're right.
We're just building content.
Correct.
And putting it out.
Correct.
We're having the conversations that people wanted to have, but they didn't. People want to know. There's a lot of stuff that you know
Yep.
that people want to know.
Exactly.
And they might see you on Instagram or Facebook, and by the time all the excitement's going on, they can't talk to you.
Yeah.
But they want to know it. So let's sit down, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Put it out there, make it stay on the internet forever, and you could go back and listen to it at your leisure.
People ask me weird stuff. People want to know how tall Beanie Man
Yeah.
was. People are like the guest I'm interviewing tonight at 9 p.m. I mean, I could tell you now, Kerwin Dubois, right?
Yeah.
Like, people want to know how tall he is.
Yeah.
That's the number one question people
That's a
are
question,
asking me.
yeah.
They want to know how tall he is
You
in
see,
real
and
life.
that has nothing to
It's
do
like-
with music.
Yeah.
Nothing.
and
Nothing.
that's what people want to
Yeah.
know.
You got to put it out there. So
Yeah,
again,
man.
Babs,
Yeah,
thank
man.
you so
Boom,
very
bang,
much.
bang, bim.
This is Muscle signing out for Two Lined Music Hut's Entertainment Report, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.